Well, everyone, welcome. It is a beautiful December 31st. It's a little bit more of a casual day. Wow, it's hard to believe that 2023 is pretty much in the books, right? Like it is just a few hours away. And it's interesting, over the last little bit here, I've had my head down like unbelievable numbers of hours trying to get my brand new Express Entry Accelerator program launched. And finally, it is out. And that's one of the big things that I wanted to let everybody know. But this here, with the opportunity of recreating the whole course from scratch, every single video, I redid every single video. There's like 65 or something now. And just tons of new content, everything from tier to category-based draws to strategies for increasing your scores, all those things, which we're going to talk about today. So we're going to cover all of these things. And yeah, I want you guys to let me know who where you're tuning in from. Happy New Year. This is what it's all about. I wanted to have a nice little celebration. I also have a bunch of a bunch of things that I can add to spice things up here a little bit. We're kind of in between Christmas and New Year, and it's hard to believe that literally it's gone, right? Where did 2023 go? Varun, it's great to have you connecting in. Thank you so much. We've got Amy. Hey, Amy, great to have you connecting in. I love reconnecting with people that are past clients, subscribers to the courses, and just everybody that's tuning in. So we'll wait for everybody to connect, and I really, really want this to be lots of fun. I want to share some of my thoughts on 2024 and where Express Entry is going to go. And those of you who are just pulling your hair out, trying to figure out what the heck is going on, am I ever going to have an opportunity to immigrate, or is this a done deal for me? We're going to talk about that. And yeah, just literally, I'm going to answer the Q&As like I always do. We're going to drill right down onto Express Entry. And I want to get your thoughts on a whole bunch of things, including if you guys have New Year's resolutions. Do you do that? Is that something that you do? In Canada, we tend to jump in and do these kinds of things and try to use the year as a reset. Hey, great to see you here, Joe. Thanks for connecting in. Yes. And so, yeah, anyways, we'll talk about the course later. That's completely secondary here to what we're, to what I want to accomplish with you guys. Like I said, the one fun thing that I want to do is, because it's 3 p.m. Mountain Time and I have to drive out to see my family, that are out in the cabin near Waterton, where they're all gathered waiting for New Year's. I was going to try to get out there earlier, but I thought, you know what? I haven't done much of a spontaneous live in a long time. And what better time to do it than right now? So I don't know how many people are going to show up. Ultimately, I'm here to provide whatever guidance, answers to your questions. Like I talked about before, we're going to talk a little bit about 2024 and what Express Entry looks like and what the possibilities are. But as we get closer to 4 p.m., that's when I'm going to treat it as our countdown. Now, ultimately, I don't have a perfect countdown. So, I guess, well, maybe somebody else has it, but I want to do a countdown, which will effectively be, I think, midnight or New Year's for people that are kind of in that mid strip of Europe. I think it's like Germany, Spain, France, through that period. It'll be your New Year's that we're going to celebrate, but I want to ring in the New Year with you guys and then head out and celebrate our New Year's here. And there's just so much to, just so much to be grateful for in 2023. I am so grateful for the amazing lawyers that I have working in my firm, for the amazing staff. I'm so grateful for the ability I have to practice immigration law. There's so much that has gone on over the last year, and, everything within immigration over the last couple years, there's been a lot of negative, right? It's been really tough to see so many people languishing in Canada, wondering if they're going to have a chance for permanent residence, to see the turnover in immigration minister after immigration minister, which also frustrates me. I wish a minister would just stay in, learn their portfolio, and then actually take it to the next level. But it's, with Mendocino and then Fraser and now Miller. It's caused a lot of disruption within the immigration portfolio, and we're seeing it now. And we know what the levels plans are for next year. We know that the immigration department is intending to extend permanent residence to more people next year than they did this year. And so what are your thoughts? Like right off the bat, what do you guys think? Do you think that next year is going to be a good year or a bad year? Yes or no? What do you think? Just post in the comments. Do you think things are going to improve for you? Do you think that there's going to be more pathways for permanent residence, or do you feel like there's going to be less? I'd love to hear from you. Jessica, thanks for tuning in on Facebook. We've got a good connection. Sarek, I want to extend a happy new year to you, and Sumaya as well. And yeah, Joe, you'd said happy new year, Mark. Hopefully I can make it to avail the course later. Yeah, remember, those of you who are tuning in, yes, I have my Express Entry Masterclass that's going to be coming in January. But the big thing right now is that I have launched a brand new Express Entry course. I've taken, this is version 4. So I have worked a ton to essentially build out this course in a way that is going to make it as efficient as possible for people to get through, but yet as comprehensive as you could imagine. And normally the fee you can see here, normally I don't monkey with it. I just leave it right where it's at, which is about 347 US. And then depending on where you're at, tax kicks in on it. But if you use the coupon code that we have right here. Oh, let's get to the right screen here. This is the coupon code right here. And if you use this before midnight, because this will come to an end at midnight. Oh, I've got a bunch of things going on here, but not the ones I want. Here we go. Okay, if you go here and just drop that coupon code in here, and then you redeem it, you can see it'll take 173.50 US off of the price. And I haven't done this. Literally, it's a year. It seems like maybe at the end of the year, this is what I do. But this is how you can access it, and you have to do it before the end of midnight Mountain Time. So that would be, I guess, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, etc. So we'll get into the course in a little bit, but let's get right back on track here with giving some shout outs here. So Joe, great to have you here. We also have David Sharon, awesome, or Sharon David, maybe it's both of you. Happy and blessed new year to you as well. 2024 is just going to be just fantastic. All right, so a couple things. Oh, Jessica, what do you have here? Well, I'm looking forward to having my husband here next year. Fingers crossed for you, fingers crossed. I hope that you guys will be reunited. So as we go forward, don't hesitate to post questions, because we're definitely going to do a Q&A portion here. But I want to talk just a little bit about what's coming in 2024. And I know most people right now are planning to get ready for their New Year's celebrations, and they're probably driving to locations, and maybe people will be watching this later. But there's a couple things that I want to talk about when it comes to the future of really permanent residence and express entry. One thing we do know is that it's going to be more and more difficult next year and the coming year to qualify through the general draws, the round of invitations that are they're basically not program specific. And if I just pull this up, I just want to share and just do a quick little spin over here and take a look at this. You can see right now, the moment they started to introduce the category-based draws, I think I need to get a drink. The moment they started to release that right here, and actually I am just going to I'm just gonna grab a quick drink. It is crazy. I wonder if I have anything to entertain you guys while I'm gone. Oh, I know. Okay, here we'll just let it snow a little bit, and then I'll be right back. I gotta grab a drink. Oh, I guess my snow did not last very long. What's up with my snow? That snow should be looping. All right, I think we're back with our snow. Anyways, thanks. Thanks so much for your patience there. I'm feeling a little bit better now. I got my nice glass of water here. Okay. Okay. Um, let's see here. We've got a bunch of questions. But like I said, I just want to shift back here. We'll get to the questions, absolutely, you guys, but I want to talk about the future. So the moment they started to introduce these category-based draws, the ground shifted, and it really shifted for a lot of people, because now the government they've laid out their cards. You know, Minister Miller here has basically told us that they are not as concerned about people qualifying through the general draws. Now, regardless, you can see here the last draw that they did was they were pumping out a few last minute category based draws. And if we look at the actual rounds here, you can see the last three were category based, but they did do a general. And those generals are just kind of really tough, because how in the world do you get 542, right? How do you get 542 CRS points? The only way you can get that high of a CRS score is if you basically have Canadian work experience. You already are maxing out everything, right? Remember, we talked in the past about how if you have a master's degree, 3 years of skilled work experience, English at a CLB 9 level, and you're 29 years old or younger, you're still at 469 points. So how do you jump to 542? It's because there are, I don't know, how many hundreds of thousands are there? How many hundreds of thousands of post-grad work permit holders or other open work permit holders are in Canada right now vying for these few last spots? There's a massive number. And we've seen clearly from Minister Fraser here that despite what his compadre right here, Minister Fraser, had indicated about loving international students and that they're the best candidates out there, well, clearly that didn't last very long, because now the message we're getting from Minister Miller is that those who are in Canada, you may have to face the reality that there is no permanent resident pathway. And I know this is nothing new. You know, individuals have been talking about this for a long, long time, that there's just too many people and not enough spots to go around. And we've looked at those annual levels plans in the past. And if I pull those up right now, I'll just show you. Let's see if we can pull it up. What's in store basically for next year. And we'll say goodbye to Minister Miller for a second here. Well, okay, Minister Fraser, I know you're trying to get back in on the action, but you're gone. If you look here, you guys, at these projections for next year, you can see it all comes down to how many spots are here in the economic range. 110 is what they're projecting for next year. And if you look down here, you have to take into consideration that there's about an equal amount. It's an even split between the PNPs and express entry and federal high skill. Just so that you guys, in case you don't know, that's express entry. That's federal skilled worker program, Canadian experience class, federal skilled trade. You can see the TR to PR pathway. I sure hope they got all of them processed. But here's an interesting thing, which I'm still trying to sort out here. Even though they were supposed to process all of them last year, you can see now, which is really quite weird, they still say that they've got about 3,000 that they have to get through with those, you know, how many was it? Like 90 some thousand total candidates. And I'm actually quite surprised to see that on the high end, that they still have a few trailers that haven't yet been processed. Then the federal business programs, we don't need to worry about that. But if we just scroll down here, this is the startup visas and the self-employed persons. These are increasing in applications because people are struggling and they are not getting scores high enough to be able to qualify through express entry. And then the economic pilots, there isn't really a ton. You know, there's 10,875 spots for all of these caregivers, RNIP, economic mobility pathway. And so, those numbers are still, some of you open work permit holders may fit through here, especially if you're in one of the rural communities that wants to nominate you. Looks like I am sliding off of my screen here. Give me a second and I'm going to adjust how I appear here. So I'm not sliding off the screen. Oh, let's see. Oh, hey, we got a bunch of different ways of doing this. Oh, maybe this is good like this. Yeah, that's probably just as good, right? You don't need to see my big ugly head. Okay, anyway, so when you're going through here, you can see the Atlantic Immigration Program, and you can see, yes, it's only 6,500, but I can tell you guys that this is a program, if you're looking to try to get through, this one has the most flexibility out of almost all of these other programs, because you essentially just need an employer in Atlantic Canada that's willing to support you. And there's upwards of 9,000 that are available here. And when I'm talking and trying to teach people, what to do to try to give yourself the best chance of immigrating, I always point to the Atlantic Canada. You've got the Atlantic Immigration Program. You have you've got the various provincial nominee programs that are in each province, and you have express entry if you can get there, depending on what happens. So this is the reality that everybody's aware of, okay? And we know that there are far more than 281,135 total economic, people working in Canada on work permits. And if that's the case, then it's a massive competitive process. And I was doing one of the videos in the course, and I was talking about job offers. And you guys tell me, okay, how common, and I'd really like to get your feedback on this. How common is it for you to see people being offered job offers if they pay $30,000, $40,000? Is this common? Is this something that you guys are seeing a lot? Please, post a comment in here, because I'd love to hear if you guys are seeing it, because I feel it all around me, that people are so desperate to be able to stay in Canada, they're willing to do anything, including illegally paying for a job offer from one of these crooked Canadian employers. Sometimes the employer is a permanent resident themselves that came from your own country, who loves nothing more than exploiting their own countrymen. Those people, I would love nothing more than for them to not only have their businesses shut down, but their permanent residence stripped and deported from Canada. For the Canadians who are getting in this gig, thinking that they can exploit people, take money, and there's no harm, no foul, I wish that they would be convicted criminally and put in jail. That's how I feel about this. But as long as individuals are willing to pay, as long as individuals are willing to stay silent, then this kind of a corrupt process is never going away. And it just breaks my heart. So what I do is I try to give people tips and strategies. So here is, and we don't have a ton of people who are watching this live for obvious reasons. And I don't know how many are actually interacting. No one's answered my question. So I think we're going to whip through this pretty quick. But the main thing I want you to understand is that there are pathways if you're strategic. The very first, right off the bat, you have to realize is that if you still have time on your open work permit, you need to get the heck out of Ontario or British Columbia. Like, just leave. If you do not have a pathway that's really certain, where you really believe you've got a legitimate shot, do not stay in those provinces. You need to go to other provinces. Alberta has our provincial nominee program, the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, that has rural renewal streams, rural entrepreneurial streams built within our province. We have Claresholm with the Rural Northern Immigration Program. And when you're in Alberta, if you can manage to get an employer who can secure a labor market impact assessment, well, you have a direct path through the Alberta Opportunity Stream. Those of you who are on open work permits that come to Alberta, if you're on a QET work permit, well, you have the ability to go through the Alberta Opportunity Stream, which is a huge benefit. But when you look at British Columbia, when you look at Ontario, isn't it crazy competitive? It's unbelievably competitive. And so you have to make a decision, and you've got to act quickly, because if you don't, your work permits are going to run out. You're going to have no pathway to permanent residence. And the only option you're going to have is to leave and go home, which, after spending all that money, all that time, making so much sacrifices, to then see that your opportunities of immigrating are just so low. It breaks my heart. So anyways, okay. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. So what do you do? So yes, move out of those provinces. But I also want to point out that we are in a world of category-based draws. We are. And when you look at the category-based draws and you assess clearly what the rounds of invitation level is, you can see agriculture, agri-food, 386. Now, I'm going to show you something that you've probably looked at. Everybody's been monitoring and watching. You can see the occupations here, okay? Butchers, retail, wholesale, agricultural service contractors and farm supervisors, contractors and supervisors, landscape, ground maintenance, and horticultural services. So if we say farm supervisors, we know that the requirement to be eligible, as you can see here from the actual ministerial instructions here, that it says within the 3-year period preceding the day on which the category was established, in other words, when the ITA was granted, they've accumulated over a continuous period at least 6 months of full-time work. That's it. So within some of these categories, you guys are all on open work permits, right? So if you have the gumption and you have the courage to make the decision to take a position in one of these occupations and you work for 6 months, you then are eligible for the round of invitation. And I know this is crazy. It's quite, it's quite disruptive to think that, oh my goodness, I have to switch jobs, get out of my field, do something else. But you have to keep that, keep those options open. STEM is competitive, 481. French, it takes time to learn French. French is not easy, but it's still there as an option. It still is. But I look at things like, especially agri-food, and let's just go back to that for a second, because when you look at agri-food here and you see that the low score is 386, and then you look at the occupations that are on the list, which is 82030. So this is farm supervisors. Obviously it's hard to just jump right in a supervisory position when you have no experience, but freak, you guys are doing it all the time when your fast food franchises are all calling you guys supervisors, right? So let's just go here to the NOC 2021. Let's see if it'll let us into the one I'm looking for here. Let's see what it'll give us here. Close. Just trying to find the actual link. It's always making life miserable for me. Okay, here we go. So let's just punch in the code and see what the requirements are to work in that occupation. Let's see. Maybe I didn't quite get it copied. Let me go here again to ministerial instructions, copy, and let's see if we can paste it in here. Okay, there it is. So let's look at the requirements for a farm supervisor. So what does it require to be able to do that? Okay, if you go to farm supervisor, the only thing I'm worried about right now is employment requirements. So farm supervisors may require a college certificate or other special training in agriculture or livestock husbandry. A course or certificate in first aid may be required. Contractors providing certain services need licensing. Some agricultural service contractors typically need a university degree. But what I'm seeing right here is that for you to come in and to work as a farm supervisor, you just need to perform these duties, right? You just need to be able to perform these duties. So maybe you work for a month as a general farm laborer. Remember, for open work permits, it doesn't matter. You can call yourself whatever you want. But when it comes to actually getting a job on a farm, that 6 months of toiling away on a farm in whatever capacity as a supervisor, and supervisors don't necessarily need to be overseeing other farm laborers. They can have specialized functions as well. But 6 months and then the ground shifts. There's not as many invitations extended, but are you kidding me? If you guys were to go, if we go back here, if you guys were to go get this experience with the scores you have now, and then there's a round of invitations, when we look at where ag is at and who you're competing with, right here, 386. So, transport truck, become a truck driver, trade occupations, pay attention to this. And at this stage, if this is the rules that the government is forcing you to go through, then do whatever you can to be able to get this experience. Like, let's look at carpenters, for instance, here. If we say I'm a carpenter, let's see what the minimum requirements are for carpenters. I'm going to slide it in here. And like I said, I know that this is kind of outside the box. I get it. It's not easy to just pick up and just go to a different place. But if you look here, all right, what are the requirements? Because this is what I'm concerned about here. I want to make sure that, because you're in Canada and IRCC isn't going to necessarily believe you're actually doing this unless there aren't, specific requirements. So you can see here, high school is usually required. Completion of an apprenticeship program or combination of work, blah, 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 blah. It says is usually required to be eligible for trade certification. Okay, well, we don't care, because trade certification for carpenters is only compulsory in Quebec. It's available but voluntary in other provinces. So that means you don't have to have certification to be a carpenter. And then framers is available but voluntary in Saskatchewan. So you can see for some of these trades, getting a little bit of work experience and then actually working. And if the employer, confirms that you're performing the duties of a carpenter, right? If you have the ability to read and interpret blueprints, prepare layouts in conformance to building codes, measure, cut. And I know this is tough, right? I know it is. But some of you that are just graduating and you're just getting into a period now where you're starting to wonder what the future holds. This guy right here, Minister Fraser, has specifically addressed that they want to encourage people to get into the trades. So do you want to stay in Canada? Well, how much do you really like working as a food counter attendant or a food service supervisor in your franchise, restaurant or your ethnic restaurant where the employer is basically exploiting you and taking advantage of you, and it's a crappy work environment? You learn a trade, you do something different, and doors open. There was a book once I read, it was called Who Moved My Cheese? And I wonder if I can find this one. It was a really good book. And it was referred to me by a very good friend who passed away last year. And I'm just going to share the screen here. This got a bunch of different versions of it, but this right here, this book, Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson, is a fantastic book, because basically what it does is it kind of makes fun of people who just sit and complain that the world is changing and looking to blame everybody else around them, instead of doing something like getting up and moving, pivoting, pursuing other opportunities, knowing when to give up. And for some of you, it might be even the decision, to leave Canada early, not to waste any more years, but to consider somewhere else, or take the skills and knowledge and experience you have, the education, go back home and just take over your communities, like develop businesses, get the best jobs, and really excel in your home country. And that may very well be what's happened to the cheese, because really, if I go back to this book, it's all about these little guys, and they've been enjoying this big stack of cheese for a long period of time, and slowly, guess what happened to the cheese? It gets eaten up. And then there's two guys that basically leave and say, we're going to go find some more cheese, and two other guys that are just hang out and just complain about the cheese not being there anymore like it used to be. So, this is Mark, and I've got 4 kids that are all adults now. So I have plenty of opportunities to give them advice and direction on making choices and the options that they have, and trying to determine their paths. But the reality is, some of you, you need to take a critical look at where you're at, and you may have to move. You may have to go somewhere where there's more cheese. And that's the whole concept that I've been trying to teach people. So whether it's get new work experience in one of the category-based draws, learn French, get with an employer who's actually willing to do a labor market impact assessment. We're doing a ton of these days for employers. Anything you can to give you the edge, because no longer is graduating even with a bachelor's degree in Canada, getting a 3-year open work permit, getting that even 3 years of work experience, is it going to be necessarily enough for you to receive an invitation to apply? All right. Okay. I am going to shift back and let's get to answering some questions. You guys have been really patient and I appreciate that. So let's dive in. Let's get to some questions. I'll answer a few and then I want to show you the course. Okay. Because I'll be honest, the course is freaking awesome. I put more time, at least 40 or 50 hours alone, just recording and not counting the time uploading and adding content and adding just everything that I could possibly think of to help you guys in that journey. I know that money is tight. I know it is. Within our firm, we charge $5,000 Canadian to assist people with their express entry applications. I get it. It's not cheap. But for those of you who are struggling, this course literally will make the difference for you when you're trying to make sure that the one opportunity, if you get that ITA, that you don't lose it. I have so many consultations with people who don't understand that with express entry these days, you never get a second chance. So let's jump into some of the questions and then let's, and then I'm excited to show you what the course looks like. Okay, so back to where we were before here. I want to catch up with everybody. Okay, Joe, he's got some comments. We'll pull these comments up. He says, it's for sure getting harder, but from what I learned from here and on immigration news, it's so volatile. Next year might be dealing with the overflow of temporary residents. Oh, Joe, yeah, we're already dealing with it. And whether you have the 10,000 H-1Bs, whether you have all of the open work permits for all of these programs, whether it's Iran or whether it's Hong Kong or whatever program the government, the H-1Bs, where they open up pathways, there has to be a place for these people to go. And when they come, many are looking for permanent residence and they may have different skill sets than someone graduating straight from school. But then you still have, what do we have? Like 1 million? I think we have 1 million international students in Canada. There's not a million spots. I think that personally was super reckless of the government. And are you serious? You think that because you raise the funds as of tomorrow, the minimum funds that are required to submit a study permit application, do you really think that that's going to have a big dent on things? Like, people are creative, right? They have tons of initiative, and where there's a way to find access to resources, they find it. Now, there's a lot of people that just don't follow the rules properly. The funds aren't really theirs. They're just show money that they pass around from one person to another just to try to satisfy immigration. But my goodness, guys, it is serious business now as an international student, and next year's going to be no different. Okay. Sharon, yeah. Any update on the parent-grandparent for 2024? Oh my goodness. This is another one, right? If you look at the levels plans, once again, let's slide over here. I know this is kind of outside of express entry, but if you look at the family, okay, and then you let me just pull up the family right here. You can see parent and grandparents, they don't intend to increase it much. So 32,000 and then 34,000. How many? Probably 100, 200, 300,000. I don't know. How many international, how many newly arrived permanent residents don't want their families to come and join them, their parents who are elderly to come join them in Canada? So I don't know what the Liberal government has planned. When I was the national chair of the Canadian Bar Association's immigration section, I was in meetings constantly with IRCC. We offered tons of recommendations and suggestions to them. And it's interesting, this approach that they've taken, which is essentially those who expressed an interest back in 2020, they're consistently drawing from that pool, only that pool. And I guess to some extent, it's one way of doing it. But how many people maybe have parents that have passed away that are in that pool, right? Or people that no longer meet the settlement funds when they originally put that expression of interest into that pool. So there's a lot of variations, and Sharon, we haven't heard peep on it. And but they're getting closer to depleting. They could probably do another year, I think, of rounds of invitation based on the 2020. So we'll just have to see, Sharon, but that's a good question. Okay, Sarek says, hi, Mark. I had a consultation with you a few months ago. Oh, yes. Nice to connect with you, Sarek. I'm thinking of buying this course, but my pathway is BCPNP, not express entry. Do you think this course benefits me in any way? Please help to clarify. Sarek, I truly believe that this course would benefit anybody, regardless of their intentions, whether to go to the provincial nominees or what route. The reality is we don't know what the future holds with express entry. And Sarek, regardless of whether or not you are going a non-express entry route, it doesn't hurt to have that profile in the pool. And what I teach in the course and the material and instructions for completing the profile is massive. It is heavily weighted to making sure that your profile is done properly, just in case, and just to make sure that if you're surprised and you receive an ITA, that you're not going to be caught unawares and then not be prepared to file the EAPR. And sometimes people submit their profiles and then they forget about them. And then things happen. They get an ITA and then they realize, oh, dang, I stopped working at that company, or I wasn't paying attention to my language assessment and it's now a month away and it's going to be expiring. What do I do? So I have a ton of content in the course that covers how to prepare and submit the best possible profile you can. There's other content on how to increase your CRS score and strategies for how to prepare for the future, how to prepare for 2024, both for people that are hoping or aspiring to immigrate, people that are here just hoping there's a lifeline thrown to them, or people that know there's a slam dunk and they're going to get their express entry. So it's just a matter of getting it right the first time. That's what the course is full of. And then of course, there's 4 hours of masterclass that I'm going to do in January. I think it's the 15th through the 18th of January, right away anyway. So, and remember, once you subscribe to it, this is the big thing I want to reiterate. Once you subscribe to the course, you have access to it for life. Like everybody that purchased the course, the previous versions of it, will be grandfathered in and have access to the brand new course for no extra cost. And every single one of them, the thousands of people that have subscribed to the course, all the courses that I have access to the master classes perpetually for as long as they want to come back. And I haven't made any changes with new subscribers or things like that, but you have access to, for life. So there's no, I can tell you that the fee or the price is not going down on it. This is 50% off, was literally open for a tiny little window. And at tonight at 12 p.m. or midnight Mountain Time, it's 3:38 right now. That's when the cart will close and that coupon code won't work anymore. So yeah, Sarek, I encourage you to subscribe now. Okay. Okay. On the Express Entry Law private Facebook group, it's great to have you in here. Has there been any increase in the visa procedure in 2024 and big announcements? Do you know what? I think finally, much to my gratitude, I guess I should say, let me just pull this up here. These guys here, I think are done with their big announcements. And how many times did we see this guy here, Minister Fraser, popping up there and talking about some big announcement, some big thing that was happening, but just wait, because it's not quite here, right? And so I think they finally learned their lesson and they've realized that they just need to stop with the big announcements. So as far as, are there any big announcements? No. Is it possible that the category-based draws could be shifted or adjusted? Well, that is possible. And so it just comes down to whether or not they are actually going to follow through with everything that they promised for the international students, or whether they are going to just write everybody off, which seems to be the direction in my mind that Minister Miller is going. And I think they're just taking the position that those of you who don't qualify, then you have to go home when your temporary status expires. And in fairness to the whole study permit program, it is designed to be temporary. It wasn't originally created for people to come and just stay. So, okay, let's see here. Okay, Varen, I'm just going to pull your question up quickly. I never ever provide people with advice on going to the border or leaving the country or anything without booking a consult. There's just too many things that can go wrong. And so I just ring that little bell and encourage you to slide over to our website, Holthe Law, and book a consult, Baron, because I need to understand your situation. I need to understand a whole lot more information as to, whether or not going down to the US-Canada border is a good decision for anything, regardless of whether it's a bridging open work permit or spousal or whatever, because the government is constantly changing the rules. All right. The sock spot says, I want to claim foreign work experience for a cash job, but all I have is a reference letter. Business has an online presence, but no pay slip since it was menial and informal. Is it too risky to try proving it? Well, okay. If it was menial, what kind of a job is menial, but is a tier 3 or higher? So you need to make sure that it's actually skilled, right? That's a critical part of this. And, but as far as not having, oh boy, the reference letter clearly is the most important part. And as I teach in the course, we always like to try to get pay slips or pay stubs, but if you don't have them, then do you have, did you pay taxes? Is there anything else that can show, the cash? It's hard because you can't track it, right? And it also depends on the company. If the company is hard to be found online by an officer, which I'm assuming it should be if the business has an online presence, all you can do is the best that you can do. But if you look at the strict requirements for express entry, it says that you need to provide a reference letter and pay slips or pay stubs if available. That's it. It's just in my course, I teach a whole lot more than that on what to include and how to support your work history and how to give yourself the best chance of getting it accepted. All right, let's jump to a couple more here. Paul says, hey, Mark, Happy New Year. Do you think there's going to be ITAs issued for French proficiency around 439 cutoff score? It's entirely possible. We've seen it happen before, Paul. It just comes down to how many invitations they're interested in extending at one time. When they do those big bursts of invitations to a large number of people in the French category, then the scores definitely dip down. And I think, Paul, it is a possibility. All right. Okay. Jerry says, hey, Mark, express entry applicants who need to show proof of funds. If an applicant has an only one perfect proof of fund official document in one bank, you mentioned that we still need to provide all other banks. Statement we have, otherwise it is misrepresentation. May I ask for lawyer's perspective? Is there a statement on the website or law that immigration officers can use it to against the applicants who only submit one proof of funds official document? As an EE newbie, I didn't find it on the website. Well, hell no, you didn't find it on the website, but you find it in my course. And so I will slide over here and I will show you. Okay. So all you have to do, and this is one of the things that I always I rely on all the source documents I can. The primary source document. So primary is the law. That's the act and the regulations. But the reality is with IRCC, they operate heavily through policy. That's how they implement. So if we go here to the program delivery instructions, these operational instructions and guidelines are for officers. But we can look here and we can go here to, let's just pull up funds right here. I just recorded a very lengthy video on this topic with what to do if you can't get the funds, with demonstrating and whether or not you need to show all of them. But look at the instructions right here. Okay. Look at the instructions right here. The applicant should provide an official letter from one or more financial institutions that list all current bank and investment accounts, as well as outstanding debts such as credit card debt and loan. And so this right here is so clear to me on what you need to include. And so they want to know your whole picture. The reason they ask for outstanding debts such as credit cards, which I can tell you the number of people that actually submit the credit cards, I think is pretty low. but they run a huge risk of an officer saying, hey, I don't know if you actually have that money. If you have a bunch of other debt with high monthly payments you have to pay to service that debt, well, I've seen people get request letters from IRCC questioning whether or not they have those funds. There's another section here that you can just type in EE proof of funds. And this should also take us to another location. Like I said, all of this is consolidated. I've got specific instructions. Let's just see here if they, what we accept as proof. I think this all covers, okay, here we go. Here's another explanation that's even more clear. For proof, you must, okay? So this isn't may, this isn't permissive, this is mandatory. Must get official letters from any banks or financial institutions where you have an account. So I don't know how much more clear that could be, but in the course, this is exactly what I teach people. Let me just log in here and let's see if I can access it. So there's my wife's login. I can't remember if I gave my own self access to the course. I know that maybe I didn't. Oh, here it is. Yes. Okay. This is the Express Entry Accelerator. I've literally changed the name of it. So here, I'll just show you. So you can see all of the modules are broken down, each of the lessons, case scenarios, both for English and for Francophones, how CRS works, Express Entry in a nutshell. I'll get to some of the other stuff, but I want to point out from your question here that I have, this is module 4 for completing the EAPR, dependent child, document checklist, and then mastering your documents. So in here, if you look, this is where it's kind of tricky because you need to click on show more to see that there's even more lessons all on proof of funds. And so you can see on this first page, I've got literally a video for every single document that could be required. So here's proof of funds. And so this video, this alone was just about 11 minutes. And then I have a ton of additional resources. Proof of funds bank letter checklist. What if I don't have the funds? Sample gift deeds and templates if you're getting funds from someone else. And then detailed explanations of everything that's required is all in here, all in one concise, consolidated. And so I guess if people are lazy and they don't want to watch the video, they could skim through this and get all the information that they need. But this video is invaluable because it talks about, well, the nuances, you know, the examples, the case studies, the reasons why I tell people to do what I tell them to do. But you can see as far as lessons go, if I go back to the Express Entry Accelerator here, we're sitting at 63 right now. And that total is actually going to continue to climb because I am constantly expanding my member resource section with other additional resources that we've created for other purposes that are just really need to be pulled into the course so people have access to them as well. So this is just a little taste of what's in here. And then on top of it, remember, almost every month, I have masterclass sessions for 4 hours where you can come connect with me, ask specific questions, and go through it. All right. So there you go, Jerry. I hope that was helpful. Okay. We've got 10 minutes until our countdown. I am excited. I am excited. I wonder what else I have here. Let's see. Are you guys excited? Give me a thumbs up. Let's see what else we have here. So we got the thumbs up. We have the falling likes. Yes. New Year's is coming. It is on its way. Let's see what else do we have here. And my fun. Oh, look at this. We do have some visitors that can appear. We got a snowman. We have Santa. We have Rudolph. Oh, we've got everybody. The whole gang's here. And we have, like I said, my holiday lights, which can be multicolored, red or green, or probably my favorite is just simple white. And then we have happy holidays, which I really, really do want to extend that to everybody before we get to the big celebration, because um, there's nothing more important than family, than getting together, being grateful, being thankful for what you have. And I'll tell you, one of the things I talk about more than anything with my kids is the importance of being involved in their community, of not just being selfish and worrying just about themselves and getting ahead off of the backs of other people. It's not about that. It's about giving. It's about paying things forward. And when you give and you give, there's this thing called maybe karma, you guys have heard. It works both ways. But for me, it's this concept that when you give freely, good things come back to you. When you're a decent human being, when you do things out of kindness and respect, when you give freely without expecting anything in return, that's when good things happen. And that's the message I try to share with my kids each Christmas. Let's see who else we have here. I think we have a few more. Oh, we got the elf. Oh my goodness. What? Oh, what are you doing, elf? Seriously. And then what? We've got this guy. Oh, this is just the dancing elf. All right. I get it. I get it. Okay. Let's continue on here. So thanks, Jerry. I appreciate the question. Okay. Sarek says, and we've got just a couple minutes here before we get down to our countdown. And I don't even know if I can do the countdown. Let's see. I have to figure out, let's see. I want to just see if I can find a New Year's Eve countdown Germany. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe Germany. Are we already past Germany? I don't think we are. Maybe we'll join the live countdown from France, Germany, and Spain. I think that one's coming. We'll see. We could do a little watch party to celebrate with them. But anyways, we'll figure that out after. Okay, let's get to the questions here. So if I put one travel history with the wrong month in the postgrad work permit application, and it's now an expired passport, do I need to submit the web form to correct this? I got my postgrad approved now. Thank you very much, Mark. If I put one travel history with the wrong month, no, I don't worry about that too much, Sarek. But I do absolutely in future applications, if there is a discrepancy. So for example, if you're then applying for express entry, and I had this discussion with someone just this week in a consultation, many of the consultants they talked to them said, oh, don't worry about it. Don't say anything about it. You don't need to say it. Well, they were filing an express entry application and they were actually claiming work history that was not disclosed previously. And the consultant said, well, just don't disclose it at all. You don't want to take the chance. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, the person did it. They have to disclose it. So why would you not just use it and explain using one of my magical letters of explanation? And within the course, I also have some detailed resources on how I put together my letters of explanation, because those suckers are the secret sauce. And if you look down here, module 4, module 5, and you can pick and choose what you want. You don't have to watch everything. But in the course, in the modules, I have here on page 2, I have a letters of explanation just on how I do it. And of course, I have templates for what I call my client information letter of explanation, and my letter of explanation for documents. So I have samples for both of those, and I explain here how I use all of them. So once again, just another piece of the complex puzzle of express entry. So when you apply for express entry in the future, Sarek, you're going to want to put that travel history in, and then just make a simple mention that, hey, actually this travel I forgot to mention in my postgrad work permit, but I just wanted to let you know. And guess what happens? Most officers won't care about it, but when they see you're willing to disclose something like that, even when maybe technically you're not expected to, it really creates goodwill. And the officer thinks to their mind, wow, this Sarek guy, he's really honest about that. I think I'm pretty safe in trusting that whatever else he says in his application is accurate and true. And they'll give you the benefit of the doubt. How do I know that? because I was an officer. Okay, Joe says, that's why I chose Alberta. That's great. Okay, generally, does the lead statement have to be verbatim in the list of duties in the reference letter? Oh, no. Another thing that I teach in the course. Absolutely. You do not want to just copy that kind of stuff. Never, ever, ever, ever. Okay. When you're getting any reference letter done, and in the course, once again, as I keep shifting back to the course, it's a good mechanism to show. You can see in my records of employment here, this lesson alone is 25 minutes long. And you can see here, I have a few sample reference letters for you. And in addition, I have some very specific additional instructions on how to, my Knox selection tool, sample reference letters, but sample templates for employers. We have an hour of work tool for calculating the hours for eligibility to CEC FSW. We've got a record of employment checklist. We've got a ton of information here, as well as more instructions on how to do this. But one thing I definitely teach in the course is that you do not copy this. In fact, IRCC says that, and they won't believe in many instances that those are your actual duties. In fact, they'll at times question the legitimacy because you've just copy and pasted them. Okay. Layla says, does 26,100 people under overall French-speaking permanent resident admissions outside Quebec mean the total number of ITAs that will be issued under the French proficiency category-based draw? No, not necessarily. Remember, people may qualify to go to immigrate under the general program. They may qualify to go through, any number of other programs, right? And so the total number and the projections aren't just under the category-based draw for Francophone speakers. They could be eligible under other category-based draws, even though they speak French. So it's just, yeah, it's extremely broad. When you have French, you have options. You really, really have options. All right, Batman, he says, I can vouch for you on your courses and teaching method. With your guidance, I was able to get the H-1B open work permit approval in 2 weeks. That was super fast. It was, Batman. In fact, I just had a discussion with someone else who had a spouse and is languishing right now. They're kind of stuck. They're waiting on their work permit to be approved. And I said, well, wait till January, and then we'll have to start digging and figure out what's going on. So thank you so much, Batman. I really appreciate that. I will give you one of these ones here. A big like. Thank you. All right. Okay. Sandeep over on LinkedIn, he says, any idea what is going on with ECOPA or why it's been so much delayed in the last 3 to 4 months? Do you see it will change with the new year? Okay. I'll be honest. I'll be very honest. And whenever people ask me, all I do is just keep pulling up these images right here. Should it be like this? No. Have we, and my tax dollars and your tax dollars, gone to, in the amount of millions of dollars to upgrading the system? Yeah, it has. So what the heck is going on? I don't know. And I don't want to put all the blame on Minister Miller, right? Because this guy right here, Minister Fraser, was the minister in charge when they were dumping millions of dollars to modernize the system. But unfortunately, it's just not resulting in speed of processing. But there's no reason why someone should be waiting 3 to 4 months to get their ECOPA when all signs say their application has been approved. So, Sandeep, no terrible insight there. Okay, Anshika, urgent help for travel history. Oh, we are 1 minute away from, okay, we gotta put a hold on it. Let's go here. Let's see if we can pull up New Year's. Let's see if we can catch this, you guys. Oh, did we catch it on time or what? Oh, 27, 26. So France, Germany, Spain. We're just about there.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah! Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. All right, we got all kinds of stuff happening. Fireworks. So if you, that's pretty loud. So we'll turn it down here. So if you are over there, you have now crossed over into 2024. And oh, look at this. They even got Old Lang Syne. I'll be honest, those fireworks are pretty annoying. Old Lang Syne, Old Lang Syne. All right. Nice. Well, Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. It's our little fake kind of New Year's here with all of the confetti falling down from the sky. And yeah, that's just awesome. So Happy New Year, everybody. Let's see. Sandeep, he says Happy New Year. We've got Happy New Year. Joe's got a Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you guys. Wow. All right. We're doing it was a little fake one, a little prep one, because I know that you guys are all going out to celebrate and ring in the new year here in Canada. It's about 6 Eastern time. So you've got about 6 hours until that happens. But yeah, it is just so fun and cool to be here and celebrate with you. That was just perfect timing, wasn't it? Okay, I'll do a couple more questions here and then I better shut her down. So Facebook over on Express Entry Law private Facebook group. That's why I can't see your actual your name, is because it's in the private group there. Monsoon, good to see you. All right, let's see what we've got here. We'll go back and I will try to get some of this. Oh, Arcedo, Happy New Year to you too. And my name is Sikiyama. Hello. Oh, I love that. It's a little deer. That's cute. Okay, let's see. We've got another hello here. Okay, so here we go. So, and Shika, I know you've got a lot. We'll try to keep this short. So, for travel history, what should I add in the city of visit? Never visit out Canada, but staying in different cities, and my city of study was different. What is it? City or airport or and Shika? I'm trying to make sense. This is really tough when the questions are kind of complicated like this. In the course, I go through specifically how to respond, how to complete travel history in weird situations. What should I add in the city of visit? Never visit out Canada. Been staying in different cities and my city of study was different. What is it? City of airport? Or I don't know. Let's see what you've got going there, Anshik. I don't actually know what you're asking. Okay. El Hussein says, Happy New Year, Mark. Unlike my father's and siblings' last name, my last name is written like this. El Hussein, okay, with a space between L and H, okay. And my all other documents, what to do. You go with what's in your passport. That's what I go with always. I always go with whatever name is listed in the passport. If you're applying for immigration anyways. And if it's not that one, like it's not correct, then you need to get it changed in your passport if it's not how it's supposed to be spelled. So I always roll with what's in the passport, and if it isn't right, then the passport needs to change. Okay. Okay, so Anshika, okay, let's try this again. What should I add in the purpose and city of visit? Been staying in different cities and never been outside Canada. Should I mention study permit as purpose on work permit and city? Is this the personal history or the travel history? This is what's confusing me, Anshika. I recommend you book that you subscribe to the course. And guys, it should be in the description below. That should be where the, I think I have it in there. I believe I do. Let me just pull this up and just see. I'm going to pause this. And then I think in my description, I have the actual link. Yes, the link to the course is in the description on the YouTube video. So if you're watching this, obviously through YouTube or through any of the other sources, the actual, this more course info, that's where you can click on this link and it will take you right here where you can then copy this. That's the coupon code. Click on enroll now. Then once you're here, just paste that right in here. And remember, in about, what is it, 6 hours, this will no longer work and it will remain the other. So you can see this is US. You get $173 US off of the price. All right. All right. Let's jump back and try to get to just a couple more before I shut it down here. Okay, Anshika, I'm gonna skip past, and let's see here. Oh, you posted that 5,000 times, didn't you, Anshika? Okay. All right. So I think we're doing Alicia, Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to you. And I think, let's see, that was, let's see if I've got, Sikiyama. Happy New Year to you as well. Okay, and I think we're just about done. The Sock Spot says, buying the course now. Really grateful for all the help you offer for free. Look forward to seeing you in the master classes soon. Absolutely. I'm going to give one of these if I can find it. And did you hear that? That was my confetti. That was the confetti. And then I'll give you one of these. So there's an applause. And the reality is, when people take the course, the thing that I want them to do more than anything is to tell people whether it was worthwhile or whether it wasn't. And the previous course was awesome, but this one, I'll be honest, takes it to a complete new level. All right. Let's see here. Okay. AP says, do respond, please. I will. My LOR, letter of, oh boy, my brain isn't functioning. Guess what time I went to bed last night, you guys? 5:30. No, that's when I stopped recording the last video, was at 5:30. It took a long time to upload those videos into the software we use. And yeah, I was up all night getting the last pieces done so that the course could be ready to go and fully launched. Okay, my LOR was from July 2023 while employment was ongoing. If I quit in December 2023, should I get a new one again? I don't want extra points for July 2023 to December 2023. AP, just post what LOR is. My brain is not functioning clearly. I've had like 2 hours sleep. So he's laughing. Okay, Monsoon Winter, can you please answer my question above? Would appreciate a lot. Didn't I answer that one, Monsoon? I think I did. Okay. I got an AOR for citizenship, but I can't make an account or citizenship tracker, but it keeps giving me error that review the information that you're entered, but I've entered everything correct. You need to book a consult. I have no clue why the system isn't working or causing problems for you. Usually what I do, Igor is he's my tech whiz expert. I would connect you with him and he would work with you to see if they could figure out what happened. But yeah, Monsoon, that's not something that I can even begin to guess. There's so many things that are constantly getting screwed up with these online portals. It's just terrible. Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. Reference. So letter of reference. Thank you. Now I'm on track. My letter of reference was from July 2023 while employment was ongoing. If I quit in December, should I get a new one? Yes. This is exactly what I teach in the course. I just finished recording this lesson for records of employment. And in the records of employment, this is the exact thing right here in this one here. If you were to sit and watch the video here of me recording the lesson, you're not all the information, you will see very clearly. Oh, I love the crazy faces that are shown when you're, oh, there's a crazy one. I love crazy faces. Anyways, detail, we go through every single aspect of the whole proof of really work experience. And so one thing that I teach in the course is that whatever that date is on your letter is as far as you're going to get points. So if you don't want to get extra points for July to December, I don't know why you wouldn't. If you had a falling out with the employer and the other letter is good enough, well, you could submit it. It's just a matter of recognizing that expiry date is technically, as far as an officer would give you credit for. And the problem sometimes, AP, is that officers don't always just use best judgment. Sometimes the newer officers are following these checklists so rigidly that they'll say, you've claimed this much work experience, but yet your reference letter doesn't support that. So because of that, I'm going to refuse your application as being incomplete because you didn't provide a letter to support your work history. They don't ask or consider, well, you don't really need it anyways. Sometimes that can happen. Now, in my letter of explanation lesson, I go through this in detail. Those LOEs are the gravy on the mashed potatoes is the way I describe it. And it's really the secret sauce that helps to avoid those kinds of misunderstandings with, with officers. But no, you could, I guess, there's a little bit of a risk, but I never like to see anything that's more than a month old personally. Okay, let's see what is next. Okay, and Shika, once again, you've posted this 5,000 times. When it comes to travel history, if it's travel history, does it need to have the details like where I actually landed, like Toronto as a city, purpose as study only, or add 2 entries with work permit? Okay, so here's the thing. Once again, you're conflating travel history and personal history. I don't have the same information in a personal history that I have in travel history. In the lesson, I teach people the importance of separating things out properly. So when you have an address, that address should never be the same location, the same duration of time as an entry for visiting. And your address history should be the thing that's corresponding with whatever's in your personal history. So I'm still a little bit unclear. It sounds to me like you're conflating what goes into both. Because if you are moving to Canada to study, I don't call that a travel history. I don't. And like I said, I spent a lot of time on that in the course. Okay, there we go. Okay, all right. Let's see what is next. Okay, I do have a detailed letter of explanation for this along with termination letter. Okay. All right, we're going to end it there. All right. So like I said, the course itself is going to be, the 50% off is coming to an end this evening at midnight, and then it is not going to return back to it. I did it purely as a kind of a Boxing Day promotion. And if you guys want to see, like I said, I'll just give you a quick little overview as we wrap everything up here. Okay. So like I said, there's a total of 63 lessons, and in here, it covers every single aspect of the express entry process. I don't know how many hours of content. I've never tried to calculate it, but the reality is whether you know nothing about express entry or whether you think you're an expert, even the very learning the basics module, you're going to learn stuff in there that's going to help you. So there's a little introduction to the course, express entry in a nutshell. How does CRS score work? And we talk about the rounds of invitations. We talk about the future and what holds, for people who are seeking permanent residence. I have CRS case scenarios, and this one's kind of fun because I've got some samples here of let's just jump here. So I've got some individuals here that I use as little case scenarios, so you can see how real world people, how the CRS points are calculated and how little changes and modifications within their within your background can make huge differences when it comes to CRS. I compare, this one is all about the Francophones and how Francophones really have a huge advantage over English or Anglophones who are looking to immigrate to Canada, a massive advantage. In fact, I have a presentation that I'm doing for the Canadian Immigration Lawyer Association in January here in a couple of weeks on this exact topic, the golden age of Francophone immigrants. And that's for immigration lawyers across the country. So not only do I teach you guys in the courses, but immigration lawyers subscribe to the course and consultants, and they get accreditation for it and all that kind of stuff. Okay, registering for the GC key. This is in module 2. And then I love this one because I go in depth into FSW, how it works, because most people have no clue how it really works, how you get into the pool. And I actually walk you through step by step. And this is the thing I want you guys to understand. This isn't just me providing some written explanation. This is me literally walking step by step through every aspect of the process. So once we get in here, I'm literally completing, we'll pause this. I'm literally completing the steps to show you how it works. And I even show you what happens when you don't complete it properly. And so, yeah, so this is just one aspect that I think no one else out there does because they just don't have access to the systems like I do. So FSW, CEC, complete walkthroughs, and then completing your Express Entry profile, setting up your profile, and every single section has its own video, personal details, contact details, studying languages. And within each of these, I have a ton of other information, tips, strategies, points, things to consider, links to everything that you need all here, as well as, in this case, I spent half an hour on this lesson alone explaining everything that you need to know about study and language and claiming those points within Express Entry. And it's loaded with things that you need to avoid and the things that you need to focus on to make sure that IRCC accepts those, that information that you've put in there. Let's jump back here. And so you can see studying languages, representative, work history. So all of the sections, there's an individual lesson for it. And then there's one for an accompanying spouse. If you don't have a spouse, then skip lessons 16, 17, and 18. And then I have a section on finalizing and submitting your profile. And this one I love, how to improve your CRS score. So this one here is also full of really, really good tips, insight, strategy on the things that you can do right now to make a difference if you're looking to try to improve your score to get that, you know, that sacred ITA. All right, and then going through here, module 4 is after you get your ITA. So setting up your EAPR, and then this one, you guys, is really tricky because this is a real client's
for you
page. And so part of the reason it takes us so long to complete these sections is because I'm actually using a real client's portal. They provided me, well, they basically logged in for me so that I could use their portal securely. And I've literally walked through every step of the way, and you can imagine how much time and effort it took to redact all of the client information. That's why no one has ever done anything like this, and why no one does, because no one's crazy enough to put the time in that I have to create this. And so as we zip through here, you'll see we have module 4, completing your EAPR for the principal applicant, all the sections. And remember, once you hit the EAPR, then there's more details in the contact section. And then you have the personal history section, which is new. And if you, the big thing is that unless you're actually, I don't know, have access to a real account, you don't know what's actually being in here and asking. But I share everything with you here. And then obviously information for an accompanying spouse. And then you'll see that for a dependent child, I have detailed lessons for your child if it's a minor or if it's an adult dependent child, because then there's more information that's needed. Then a separate section on the document checklist, previewing your score, which is really important, and then understanding the document checklist glitches, which is effectively what I call when it flips between the smart and the stupid checklist. And I tell you how to deal with it, strategies of working through the problems within the portal. It's all contained in lesson 42. And then the mastering your document section, which we looked at before, which is chock full of just a ton of lessons all the way down to, if we go here, all the way down to lesson 60 on provincial nomination certificates. And then if we jump back here, right here, you can see then we jump to the member resource section. And this is going to be constantly growing. All right. So that is the course. And remember, on January, I think it's the 15th through the 18th is when we're going to do the masterclass. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I wish you guys the best 2024 in the world. And yeah, and if any of you are having any issues or anything, just let me know. Monsoon, he says, is it concerning that you can't be able to access the account? Well, yeah, it is. Of course it's concerning. There's something wrong for sure. All right. I'm going to end it right there, but thank you once again, guys. Happy New Year to everyone. And I'm going to head out now to go spend some time with my family. Remember, the last opportunities for subscribing to the course at this 50% off rate will end here at midnight. All right. Take care.